Pepsi belonged to Mr. Amos, an elderly widower with no children, who found his truest companion in that four-legged friend. For over 10 years, the two were inseparable. Whether rain fell or the sun blazed high, Amos and Pepsi traveled together, across neighborhoods, into forests, through marketplaces, and even across state lines by train. Every weekend, Amos would pack a small bag and walk with Pepsi to the train station. They would board the 8:45 a.m. train and travel to his childhood town, stopping by a quiet lake, an old bakery, and a little chapel where he had once married the love of his life. Pepsi always trotted beside him, tail wagging, ears packed, memorizing every step. Then one morning, Amos didn't wake up. Neighbors found him peacefully gone in his sleep. Pepsi curled up beside him, eyes wide with silent grief. The funeral was small. A few neighbors, one distant cousin, and Pepsi, who wouldn't stop whimpering as they lowered his best friend into the earth. After the funeral, the cousin left. The neighbors assumed the dog would eventually wander off or be picked up by animal control. But Pepsi had different plans. The next morning, just before 8 a.m., he made his way to the train station. Alone. He waited by the bench where he and Amos used to sit. When the train arrived, the conductor, recognizing the dog, let him on. Without a ticket, without a leash, Pepsi walked to their usual spot and laid his head down. No one dared to move him. He got off at their usual stop, walked the same trail, visited the lake, paused at the bakery, sat outside the chapel, and finally returned to the cemetery. He curled up beside Amos' grave and stayed there till sunset. He did this every day, for weeks, then months. Rain or shine, Pepsi followed the route. Station staff began feeding him scraps. The bakery started putting a slice of bread aside just for him. Children waved at him from train windows. He became a silent fixture, a furry symbol of devotion. Some say he cried at the grave. Not loud howls. Just soft, heart-wrenching whimpers, like he was calling out for his friend to wake up. But time is a thief even to the strongest hearts. One chilly evening, as Pepsi lay beside the grave, his body too frail from years of wandering, a young woman named Ruth noticed him. She had just moved into the town and kept seeing this dog every time she visited the cemetery. That day, she brought him a blanket. The next morning, when she returned, he was still there, his head resting on the edge of the tombstone, eyes closed peacefully. But he was breathing. She took him home. For the first time in a long while, Pepsi slept in a warm bed, ate from a clean bowl, and didn't have to travel alone. Ruth, a veterinary nurse, treated his wounds, nursed him gently, and gave him love, not to replace Amos, but to honor the love he once knew. Pepsi never forgot Amos. But in Ruth's home, he found something he hadn't felt since the day his master died: rest. He lived for 2 more years. Not long before his final breath, Ruth took him to the cemetery one last time. Pepsi walked slowly, but his tail wagged. He lay down by the grave, sighed deeply, and rested his head. That night, he passed in his sleep, right beside Amos, where his heart had always been. Ruth buried him quietly, just a few steps from Amos' resting place. She placed a small plaque above it that read, "Pepsi, the dog who never forgot." And the town never forgot him either. Thank you so much for watching Pepsi's journey of loyalty and love. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories like this. Share this video with someone who believes in the power of love, because sometimes, even a dog can teach us what true devotion means. See you in the next story.